Proper bunker management doesn't end once you've got the feed packed and covered. In fact, feed-out losses can represent between 3 and 15% of the total losses during storage. Feed-out losses occur due to exposed face, exposed top, or even silage laying loose in between feedings.
You don't want to expose more than about 3 days worth of feed on top of the storage as you uncover it. What we will do is bring these weighted bags back several feet to help secure the plastic, and then we'll cut the plastic back the desired amount that we'd like to expose. Again, securing the plastic with the plastic bags to make sure the wind doesn't blow underneath the plastic.
Danger, caution, warning. How do you do fall protection for bunker silos or silage pile? That's a big question, and there are many factors that need to be considered when we look at fall protection. From where I'm standing on this bunker pile, I'm about 10 feet away from that leading edge or the face edge. I'm out of the most severe part of the danger zone on top of this pile. Have your workers look at and evaluate whether they can walk up the pile from a gradual slope, keeping that distance in mind to that leading edge. Also, the further you can stay away from that leading edge to remove the plastic, the covering, the better for that worker. Is there some way that you can use a tool to pull the plastic back, to remove tires, and keeping that individual further from that leading edge? You also need to consider, do you have walls, or is it just the gradual slopes on the sides of the pile? Evaluating those points where someone could fall from on top of your horizontal silo is an important first step in protecting that worker and considering what you're going to need for fall protection. The face of the silage pile presents us with a couple of hazards to consider for employee safety. One of those hazards is that if we get up close to the front of that face of the pile, is there any undercutting of the silage pile that could collapse and fall down on that person, avalanching that forage and burying that individual underneath? Keeping a distance back from the face of the silage pile is a recommendation. For each foot of height that you have in the face, you want that individual to be staying back 2 to 3 feet. I'm standing about 20 feet away from this pile, as it's about a 10-foot pile. So be sure to consider that safety zone, that avalanche zone, and keeping individuals further away from that face of the pile, depending on the height of your bunker silo or pile. Another consideration gets to be as you're working at the face with the machinery that you're using, having other individuals being clear in the area when that operator is coming in with that facer, that skid steer, the front end loader, so that that operator isn't having to watch for a ground worker. If you do need to have a ground worker in the area, be sure to have backup alarms on your equipment. You're wanting to make them more visible to that operator by putting them in high-vis clothing, such as the vest that I'm wearing. The hazards of the avalanche zone at the front of the bunker pile, the face, need to be considered. Evaluate your operation and your processes to consider how to best protect your workers at your operation.
Before you begin feeding from a bunker or pile silo, you must remove the spoiled feed. Some producers adopt the attitude that if cows will eat it, we should feed it. But with spoilage in the ration, dry matter intake and digestibility decreases. Even if the bunker silo has been properly packed and covered, some spoilage will occur. So, round up the spoiled materials, make a small pile while you're feeding, but make sure to dispose of the spoilage on at least a weekly basis.
Silage has been removed from this face using a facer. It leaves a very smooth face. A smooth face is important in order to minimize exposure of the forage to oxygen. When removing silage from the face, you don't want to take out any more material than you're going to feed in one feeding. So you want to leave relatively small amount of material on the floor of the bunker silo or silage pile. This material is going to be loose. It's going to have a tendency for oxygen to penetrate it fairly easily, which increases the rate of spoilage. We have an example here where too much feed has been left in place, and that is over here where we have an accumulation of material that's much more than was needed for feeding, and it was left in place. If you have a situation like this, it's probably advantageous to put a piece of waste plastic over the top of that forage and cover it with some tires or some gravel-filled bags to help to exclude oxygen, and if it's going to rain, to help keep water out of the forage.
Keep pedestrians out of the work zone when you're feeding. As you have a variety of equipment and tractors moving in and out, it's hard for that operator to be watching out for individuals that shouldn't be in the work zone. Children, farm visitors, or even pets may not know to stay out of this feeding area and work zone. Inform visitors to your farm about the risk of the area or post it to have them stay out. Posting signs signal danger of the work zone area. These signs may read, "Danger, feed could fall from the face," "Danger to stay out." Consider that the factor of the avalanche zone, that face if it falls. You want to have individuals working 3 times the height of that feed out face if they need to be in there other than when they're operating the equipment.